Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Eric Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She's the one, the only Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
Yeah, not much. Just dodging the weather currently because we've been having some storms all day. So we're kind of
Yeah,
joking that we're kind of running under the clock a little bit here because I think there's a storm coming around 10 o'clock. So we'll see if we can get it just in time. But
we're running against the weather. I feel like a storm chaser.
yeah, it's like literally the reverse version of the storm chaser because
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
rather us not have this cut out in the middle of the podcast. I'd rather us get the episode out and it doesn't have any technical difficulties. So
I
let's
agree.
cross
I
our
agree.
fingers, guys.
Yeah. For those of you that are new here, this is a pro wrestling podcast where Shay and I answer questions sent in by the listeners about everything pro wrestling, whether it's WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, CMLL, AAA, Stardom, Marigold, whatever it has to do with wrestling. If you have a question about it, we answer it. We got a couple questions on the podcast here tonight. But before we get into that, I got another stumper for you. Eric's Stumper of the Week is coming up.
All
All
right,
right.
hit me.
All right, so there's this big debate on social media, mainly on Twitter,
Mhm.
this past couple days. I don't know if you've seen it, but the debate is whether or not 100 men, if working in unison together, can take down one silverback gorilla.
Oh.
And for some reason, this debate has completely overtaken social media, Twitter. It's been one of the funniest things I've seen in a very long time because people are trying to rationalize whether or not 100 people can actively take out one giant silverback gorilla. And then there's people like, do you understand what a silverback gorilla can do to you?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a tough one because I feel like 100 people, like you're gonna have to kind of pick which ones are gonna be like the punching bags
Right. You
because
gotta you gotta you gotta put this together strategically. But my question for you is not
Mhm.
necessarily 100 men, but if you could pick one wrestler, past or present, if you could pick one wrestler to go up against one gorilla that you think could actually give a gorilla a run for their money, what wrestler would you pick?
Oh, that's a tough one. See, I feel like it's very easy to just pick like the big guys because,
Right.
of course, why wouldn't it be? No, who would probably give him a run for money and probably end up killing him with their bare hands? Suzuki.
Really?
Yeah,
And
Minoru Suzuki. Come on,
that's funny because I'm actually wearing a Minoru Suzuki shirt
oh,
right
that's
now.
perfect. See, and for the listeners at home, we don't have the cameras on, so I had no idea. That was
Yeah,
just that was just pure luck. But
Minoru
yeah, I
Suzuki.
that man has no fear in his eyes ever. So I
That's
feel
true.
like he doesn't give a fuck. He'll do it.
That's true. I was gonna go with Jacob Fatu. I
Another one that
think
doesn't give any fucks. Like,
yeah, I think exactly. I think he's been institutionalized.
yeah.
He's been locked up. I think that man, if push comes to shove and his back's against the wall, I feel like he could probably do some damage to a silverback gorilla.
Oh yeah. Could you imagine those two as a tag team,
Yeah,
Suzuki and Fatu? Oh,
that'd
people
be
would die.
fun. That'd be fun. That gorilla wouldn't stand a chance against those two.
Oh, nobody would stand a chance. That there would be like people would die. People would
Yeah.
fully die if they had a team against those two. Like
Yeah.
insane.
One of my favorite answers, it'll probably get us canceled. But one of my favorite answers, somebody said, Jesus Christ, 2007 Chris Benoit.
Oh no! Oh shit.
Oh
Well,
God! When I read that, I had tears coming
whew,
down my eyes. I
I mean, it's
lost
not
it.
wrong, but goddamn, like,
Yeah.
hey, someone
That
said
man,
it.
feet don't fail me now. He's going up against that gorilla. He's taking it on head on.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man.
Oh god, that.
Oh boy.
Mm.
Oh man, but yeah, that's the big debate going on social media whether 100 men can take on one big giant silverback gorilla. The answers are freaking hysterical, but I figured Jacob Fatu would do a good job. Minoru Suzuki is a phenomenal answer. I think he'd definitely have no fear going up against a gorilla. That'd be great.
No, I would like to see it now, actually. We need to, like,
Y-
pay some money to let it happen.
Yeah, yeah, we need a simulation to show us if it can actually work out.
Yeah, really. And somebody's got some technology somewhere.
Yeah, for real, for real. But that was Eric's Stumper of the Week. Now we get to answer your questions about professional wrestling. We got a bunch of questions from everything that's happened currently. Plus, we still have questions about WrestleMania. People still want to talk about WrestleMania. So
Uh,
we got a lot of questions to get to. Why don't we start it off? What do you got for me?
all right, so we're gonna start off with Mom's questions, and starting off with the Cena and Orton promo from this week,
Mm,
and she thought it was extremely personal. I would agree. I mean, you
yeah.
bring up the whole kids thing, but I just, you know what? I'm Team Cena with that one. It's just like, fuck them kids. Like,
Yeah, yeah. But
no,
you know what's
but it was
funny?
good.
Yeah, you know what's funny? It's seen as rationale is I didn't have any kids because I spent the last 25 years
Literally.
raising yours.
And I've been doing a
So
great job. So it's like, and I loved how just so deadpan he's like, "Yeah, wow, and I got a 6-year-old flipping me off. Great. Like,
yeah.
didn't
It's
care.
funny because I've never been a fan of John Cena the actor,
No.
but I feel like he's doing a lot of acting with this heel run, but it's great acting work.
Yeah.
I love it what he's doing because he's really sticking it to people and not in like an obnoxious like low hanging fruit sort of way like you're
Yeah.
ugly fat stupid whatever.
Yeah.
He's really going after the things that made him who's been for the past 23, 25 years. So he's really like flipping the script and using the material that we've been giving him the past 2 decades and flipping it back on us, and I think that's just phenomenal work, and it's believable too.
Yeah, it's just it just still gets me. And there's a 6-year-old in the front row flipping me off. That's just real nice. Like it just makes you laugh because
Yeah,
it's
it
just like
definitely does.
that
Who
that
raised them kids?
yeah, yeah, really. I mean, so much
Yeah.
for doing a good job, but well, he had a loser of a dad. I think that's what he said, was something like that. He's like, oh, maybe if you didn't have such a loser of a father. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
so we're really
yeah,
going there, but
yeah. Dad
yeah,
has to dad has to drive home with that on his mind the rest of the night.
yeah, and the kid has to be like, why do you call you a loser, dad?
Oh
That would be a fun
man.
conversation for the ride home, but
Yeah, really.
but no, that promo was really good. I'm looking forward to the match at Backlash. I mean, we know he's not Orton's not winning, but at least they're making it interesting, so I can't
Yeah,
really
I
complain
mean
about it.
it's old school. I mean, this is kind of isn't it like the wrestling that kind of got you into everything was around that
Oh
era
yes,
of John Cena, Randy Orton. So it's a lot like it's a throwback, and
yeah,
I'm interested in seeing how it's gonna work and just get that little bit of nostalgia going. This is a different style of nostalgia. This isn't nostalgia for the sense of a crowd pop or anything like that. These
yeah,
guys are actually going to go out there and have a wrestling match, and it's going to be for the world title. So it's going to be
yeah.
fun to watch.
Bring me back to bragging rights '09. Those
Oh,
those were the days.
those were the days.
That was a wild time, but yeah, it is a nostalgia trip, and not in like a bad way, like you said.
Right.
It's like, god damn, it's really come full circle where it's like they're still doing this
Right, right.
all these years later. Like it's insane.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is not just for like a crowd pop or a segment on
No,
TV. They're actually going to get in the ring and have a match. So I'm really excited for it.
I am too. It's again just taking me back, taking me back to the good old days.
Mhm.
All right, so this is of course you and I both know the one thing we were going to want to talk about today. Our
Mm.
boy is finally home. Our
Our
boy's
boys
finally
home.
home. And he kept the song, he kept the entrance. I was gonna like, okay, full transparency though. So Friday, I did not watch SmackDown Live. We
Oh.
were at the theaters because obviously anybody who knows me knows I was at the Revenge of the Sith re-release, of course.
Which made a lot of money for a re-release. I think it broke the record
Yeah.
for the amount of money it brought in for a re-release.
Yeah, and I contributed to that 2 nights in a row because my friend and I went Thursday night and then I drug mom Friday night, but she actually enjoyed it, believe it or not. So
Nice.
it's my favorite movie out of all of them, so I was gonna have a good time regardless of who was coming with me. So I didn't really care one way or the other. But we made it out of there, and we went to I think like get something real quick to eat afterwards, and I'm flipping through my phone while we were waiting for our food, and I'm like, he's back. He's fucking back. And so I'm literally sitting there, and this is also when the draft's going on, by the way. So this place was like loud and packed, and I'm like, if these people would just shut the fuck up, I want to hear if they brought the song back, because if not, I'm swinging. I've said it how many times on the show. If they didn't bring back that song, I was swinging on somebody. I don't care. However, I feel like they remixed it a little bit.
It does sound different.
Okay, it wasn't just me.
Yeah, it does sound different. It does sound there's like the thing is if you're if like Shay and I we listen to this style of music often.
Yes.
And the singer of Aleister Black's actual theme song, he's the singer of a band called Incendiary, which is a one of my favorite bands. There it's got a louder pop to the snare drum for
Yeah.
some reason, and
The
and the
guitar sounds
riff,
different.
yeah, the riff
Yeah.
sounds cleaner almost. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have that, it doesn't have that buzz around it. It
Yeah.
sounds very very clean. So what I'm thinking is they just basically um cleaned up the music, had Def Rebels. They told Def Rebel, play this fucking riff, don't
Don't touch
change
it.
it, don't do anything to it, just play the riff, play the song, and that's it. And I think that's what they did. I kind of noticed that too. I mean, I've heard that Aleister Black theme song. It's
Too
the
many
only theme
times.
song. Yeah, it's the only theme song that I will listen to because I feel kind of weird. Like, oh, this is way too nerdy for me to be listening to wrestling theme songs in my free time. But that's
Eh.
such a good track. It's such a good track. And like I said, Incendiary is one of my favorite bands. So like it's just like it's no different from what I would listen to on a regular basis. So I've heard the theme song so many times, and I was just happy it was back. But then I was like, it does sound like a more cleaned up version of the song in terms of the music. The sound is a little bit more cleaner. The snare punches a little harder. The riff punches a little
Mhm.
harder. But like you said, I'm just happy that the song's back. The entrance is back. He looks like
Yeah.
he's in phenomenal shape.
Oh
Like
yeah, he
he
looks
looks,
great.
yeah, he looked like he really worked on getting in shape. I didn't know he's already 39 because he did a
I know.
podcast. He did a podcast interview and he's like, "Yeah, I got about 5 to 8 years left in me." And I'm like, "That's it?"
Uh, don't say
Uh,
that. Oh, don't say
I'm,
that.
I'm like, "That's it? That's all we're getting?" So,
Fine.
it's gonna be a very interesting time period for Aleister Black to see what they got him doing. I would love to see him in a program. Obviously, they had him do a little mix up with the Miz, but I would love to see him in a program with Carmelo Hayes. I think
Yeah.
that would be very, very good.
That would be a really good one. And also, we can't forget to mention too the merch. His new shirts are fucking cool.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
They are
not one, not two, three. Three new shirts right away.
right
I'm not
away.
going to complain about them.
I
But
think they know that he's a merch mover too.
oh yeah,
I think they know he's a merch mover because their creativity behind him. Again, the best merch is the merch that you can wear out and not feel weird. You
yeah.
know, which is kind of hard to do with wrestling merchandise.
Some yeah,
But the Aleister Black merch, and it's always hit. It's always been good. Even when he was in AEW, even the House of Black and
yeah.
the Malachi Black stuff was phenomenal. So you know, he's gonna be a merch mover. I think we're finally gonna get the Aleister Black we were supposed to get when he got called up from NXT. That's another
Yeah.
thing too. I would love to see him go back to NXT, have a little maybe one or two matches in NXT just to be like, hey, this is where I came from. You know, this is where, you know, most of my popularity came from. I think he's like what is he, two-time NXT champion or something like that?
I think only one.
One, only one, maybe so, but he's still an NXT champion. So
Yeah.
and we know those people down there have an affinity for those that have come through the program. So he would be well received down there in NXT. The possibilities are endless. I'm just happy to see him back where I know they can utilize his creativity and show him at his full strength.
I sure hope so. It's just great. It's funny that you mentioned the theme too, because that has fully been my mom's ringtone on my phone for the last however many years. I'm not even joking, but yeah, that is such a good song. And I think the reason why we like him so much is besides the fact that he's pretty much kind of our aesthetic, kind of our
Yeah.
like music style. Like essentially, it's like if death metal and wrestling came together, that's pretty much like
Yeah,
Malachi
pretty
fans,
much.
Aleister fans, pretty much. So I feel like that's where the intersection of music and well, I think he's even said it too, where the like kind of intersection of sports and music kind of go hand in hand and is very like complementary of each other, especially
Right.
when it comes to like rock and whatever. But
Yeah.
I just feel like we also like him because he is one of the most, and I've said it, and I'll continue to say it's one of the most creative minds in wrestling. And it was just a shame that it felt like an AEW. They just never. I just feel like at the end of the day, Tony never really understood him, which is
Right.
a damn shame because they could have done so much more. And the people that are literally arguing that they were chanting Tony fumbled and that was a stupid chant because how did they fumble him? And someone's like, did he ever win a world title there? No, he should
No.
have. He didn't. He
Yeah.
didn't even have a singles title. All he had were the trios titles. That's it. So
Yeah.
kind of bullshit. But however, I'm just glad he's back. Gotta figure out which shirt I'm buying because we have to. It's customary.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm just excited to have him back. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to use him now.
Me too. I hope we're not going to eat these words later.
I don't think we are. I think they the one thing that they said when he became a free agent or when he was becoming a free agent was they wanted to bring him in because they see him as a main event player.
Yeah, because he
And
is.
I
We've been saying that.
yeah, and I feel like he's the prototypical Triple H kind of guy, you
Yeah,
know? Just an all-out assassin, kind of mysterious, kind of anytime you could take that dark aesthetic, you could really do a lot with it. I mean, it's always worked if it's done well and it's not done cheesy and campy. The non-cheesy campy stuff, you look at The Undertaker,
yeah.
Kane, the Wyatt Six, that was non-cheesy, campy, horror, dark aesthetic stuff that has actually worked well. So I think with Aleister, it's going to be no different. I think they're going to knock it out of the park.
I completely agree. I'm just happy. I'm just happy. It's just we get the music back, man. Like that's one of my favorite wrestling themes of all time. I'm just excited
For
about
sure.
that. But anyway, before we spend the entire episode talking about it, because we really could. Um, thoughts on Karrion's little interview he had around WrestleMania, and do you think those were his true feelings?
Ooh,
That interview was
that
wild.
was
What wasn't even like it was a more of a promo than anything, but I feel
right.
like it he did that thing where right at the beginning you could tell it was kind of a promo because I
Hmm.
mean, and he wasn't wrong. He's just like, well, I guess now all I have to do is just, go on YouTube and be successful and I can do whatever the hell I want. And like Scarlett said, we have like 25 years between the two of us of experience, and that just means jack shit essentially. And then he started to get a little more heavy, and I'm like, ooh, he's popping off a little bit, and it
Yeah,
was fun. So, and I'm glad that people were taking notice because I think they ended up like selling his shirt out like twice, maybe. I think at least
really.
once. Yeah, they like sold his stuff out, and I'm like, now you guys are finally understanding what I've been saying for years. I have been in the trenches with these two for years because we had to go through the whole Adam Cole thing, which I get pretty much like sunk him for a while and
Yeah,
whatever. But I'm just glad people are finally getting it now
right.
because the fact that he's not in these positions is insane. And the fact that he had such a very small, minute appearance on WrestleMania in his hometown, too, of all things, it's just like, geez, you couldn't have done something other than just that. But
Yeah.
good for him for letting it out because goddamn that was fun to watch.
My favorite part about the whole thing is the way he was able to weave in kind of the shoot promo of
Mhm.
his actual feelings and a promo that incorporated the actual storyline of what was going on.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. It wasn't just a straight up shoot promo where he was, airing out and venting his feelings. It was he was airing his feelings, but he was also saying this wouldn't have happened if AJ Styles would have not only thought about himself and thought about other people. And
Yeah.
it came across as he was upset that somebody like AJ Styles lost to a YouTuber, which
Yeah.
was in storyline. So
Mhm.
the fact that he was able to weave the storyline into the shoot promo, it almost feels like he it was genius level. He kind of handicapped and he handcuffed WWE's hands at
Yeah.
that point because he was able to get people talking about the angle, right? Which is what
Mhm.
WWE wants, and he did it his way, and he said what he said, but he did it in such a way WWE can't get rid of him. Like it's
No.
too good. It was too
Yeah.
good. It was
Yeah.
too good. It was one of those things where they kind of have to kind of if it was because we don't know we weren't there, we weren't flies on the wall or anything like that, so we don't
Yeah.
really know whether or not this was a shoot promo or if it was a work shoot or whatever you want to call it in a wrestling sense. But like uh the point I'm trying to make is just like I kind of lost track of where I was going. But the fact of the matter is
It
that the
happens.
fact of the matter is weaving in the real life stuff
Yeah.
with the way he felt and saying what he said, it put WWE in a position where now they have to take notice of him. And I
Yeah.
think it's going to start building to something because Triple H is the type of guy, if you show him something, he will run with it, but you have to show it to him kind of first. You have to
Yeah.
kind of give him the building blocks of what you're trying to do, and then he can weave it into the rest of the stories that are on TV, and which he did on Monday Night Raw with the whole Sami Zayn situation. And
Mhm.
there goes Cross being that little devil on the shoulder. You know, what are you going to do, Sammy? You're going to take the deal? I think you should take the deal.
Yeah.
And it's just great stuff. I really hope that they can capitalize on it. This is one of those things where, again, when you're able to blur the lines of reality and professional wrestling in 2025, that's an easy way to hook the people. It doesn't matter who it is because remember, they spent so much time. I'm talking about wrestling fans shitting on Karrion Cross. Oh,
Yeah.
they're not doing nothing with him. He's just in catering. He's not anybody important. So now he does this and everybody's on board. So when you can blur those lines, that's the easiest way to hook people into the story.
And it's funny how you mentioned the whole becoming like undeniable, essentially, where they have to pay attention to you. He even talked about that in the promo where he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was told. Become undeniable. You know what it gets you? Ignored. They
Yeah.
ignore you.
So
I'm like, damn.
he
That ending
definitely
though.
became undeniable though when he went off at the end.
Oh, the ending just guy in the suit in the truck, go fuck yourself. And you even saw Scarlett go, okay, I think we've
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
what are you doing?
Scarlett was like, uh-oh.
You're just like, I just lost my job. I'm like,
Yeah,
but no, it was super good. This is what I'm hoping. I've been waiting years to see now from him, and I hope they finally give those two a chance because God knows they've earned it.
for sure.
And it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun. I might have to go back and watch that again because it was so fun to me. Just like he's really just going off, and you know what? Good for him because I would do the same thing.
Yeah. Great promo.
So good, so good. Speaking of some banter, what did we think of Dave LaGreca and Rock's banter? Mom thinks The Rock's choice of words was not a good look. So, for those that might not know what that means, so on the Busted Open podcast, after WrestleMania, LaGreca pretty much like had went scorched earth on that whole thing. Like I couldn't tell you the amount of f bombs he dropped, all the pretty much blamed the fans, which to be fair, I don't blame him for blaming the fans because he's like, you guys were the same ones years ago that booed Cena and bitched and complained about this PG era of wrestling and this
Mhm.
is bullshit and whatever. And now all of a sudden, it's all great to you and this is what you wanted, and we're gonna get thrown back into the PG era, which I really hope's not the case, but I think he was just very hyped up at that point. But
Mhm.
he's not wrong though, because a good portion of these fans cheering for him, even though they shouldn't have been like at all, were probably the same ones that were bitching about him when he was back in the top guy back in the day. So
Yeah.
I don't blame him. And he was going off about the whole Travis Scott thing, as they should, because I still think it's bullshit and whatever. And The Rock essentially told him to just relax, it's just a work, bud, don't get yourself all worked up. And it's just like,
Yeah.
why would you say something that's stupid? Because it's stupid. It's pretty much just being like, oh, well, it's not real, buddy, don't worry about it. It's like very patronizing and just kind of
Yeah.
insulting, and it's like, dude, you have no fucking room to talk because you didn't show up to work. So
Yeah.
maybe let's
Yeah.
not start and act all high and mighty because you did fucking nothing when you should have. and because you just wanted your 10 seconds of fame at Elimination Chamber. That was all it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why The Rock would concern himself with something like
Just
that. I
don't say
mean,
anything.
just
Like,
don't say anything, man. And let the people, let the podcasters and the fans
let
and
us yell.
all, yeah, let us just yell, because that's what we do. That's all we do is just yell. We do it here on this podcast. We just yell and banter about stuff. uh LaGreca just knows that he's on the air, he's on a podcast, and the more animated and the more hyped up he is about the situation, the more people will tune in. And I'm not saying LaGreca is wrong, but I do kind of agree with your mom in the sense is it's just why if your response is, hey, just calm down, it's a work, why should we care about any of this, you
Yeah, it's like
know?
you're pretty much just pulling the curtain back, and it's just like, of all people, you should not be saying any of that shit. Because I guarantee you, if anybody else would have said that, you don't think
Like,
HR would have been knocking on their door? Like,
yeah,
so just because it's him, it's okay to say. Like, it's just that's essentially just the nice way of being like, yeah, it's all fake. Don't worry about it.
yeah, you
Like you said,
know,
then why are we fucking here then?
if anything, Rock should have leaned into it, have fun with it, you
Yeah,
know, be a professional wrestler, something that was you before the Hollywood and before the fame of Hollywood came along. You were a professional wrestler. You were born into this
yeah,
business. So I don't know. I feel like part of me thinks that Dwayne Johnson um almost is like, Vince McMahon was always the type that he didn't want to be known as a wrestling promoter. He wanted
yeah,
to be known as an entertainment guru. And I feel like Dwayne Johnson is cut from the same cloth, where now he doesn't want to be known as a professional wrestler turned actor. He
yeah,
wants to be known as an all-around entertainer. But you can't deny what got you to the dance, buddy. It was the
yeah,
wrestling that got you to the dances, the wrestling and the promos, and being a character and playing a character, maybe like what LaGreca was doing, that
yeah,
got you to the dance. So for you to negate that, it takes us back to when he first went into Hollywood and he was like, I want no mention or no conversation about my professional wrestling career. I just want to keep this strictly about the movies. And then it was like, oh, okay, he's turned into that guy.
and
And
how
then
well
all
that turned
this,
out for you?
yeah, and exactly. And then when his movies started to bomb, he came back to what he knew he was going to get universally loved at. So it's
Yeah,
just kind of like, dude, are you just like, it feels like a toxic relation. This is a toxic relationship that John Cena was talking about. It
yeah.
wasn't John Cena and the fans, it was The Rock and the fans.
Literally, it's essentially just a power trip for him.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he
Yeah.
has all the power in wrestling, so he's like, well, I can just do it because the fans are going to give me a pass. But I would
Mm,
like to think after a while, they're not going to give him a pass much longer because they're pretty pissed about the whole thing with WrestleMania. Like, you show up, you hint at shit, and then you don't even bother showing up and.
yeah, without his involvement, a lot of it didn't make sense. Looking back
Nope.
in hindsight, after all the pageantry and the pomp and circumstances worn off, you look back and you analyze it, and then you go, well, what was all of that about at Elimination Chamber? You know, like, what is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just a fucking it's just a fucking mess. Speaking of fucking messes, Mom's last question is, why did we have to have the women's tag title change the night after Raw or the right night after WrestleMania?
I
And
don't
the
know,
answer
but they,
is, I don't know. I don't
yeah,
fucking
I
know.
don't know. I don't know. I think I briefly talked about it when watching the Women's United States Championship match and that title change. I
Yeah,
feel
good for
like,
Zelina, by the way. Like fucking
yeah,
finally.
very good for Zelina. Congratulations to her. I think what it is it's just that they're trying to err in the side of unpredictability, where we can kind of assume winners and losers, especially for title opportunities. Now that's kind of all gone out the window. Sometimes they can lose the title on a random episode of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I will say though, I gotta give credit to Liv and Raquel as a tag team. They are
Yeah.
very, very freaking good. All of
Yeah.
their matches are just like barn burner matches, and it's like, wow, they really know how to put together these matches. So I'm not upset. I am just confused, much like everybody else.
Yeah, and it's supposedly, again, these are just the rumors. I see the same ones you guys do. I don't have any inside scoop or anything, but supposedly that was Becky's like pitch the whole time, was to come back and do all of that and then just drop it the next night and turn heel. So I'm like, I'm not sure what that's all about and not sure what the whole point of all of that was, but
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
get it. I think Becky's best work is when she's a heel, and
Yeah, but
especially this way where she's kind of unhinged and she kind of flipped the script because everybody is like, "Well, why'd you do it to Lyra?" And she was like, "Well, because Lyra was being nice to Bailey, and Bailey's been pissing me off the past couple of years."
which is like, you
So
know
it
what?
was
That's fair. She has a point. She got a
yeah,
point.
yeah.
But
So like I get it. It's just I never was a fan of champions losing the title on their first defense. I say it all the time here on the show.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. I feel like if you win the title, you should be prepared to have a lengthy run with it. Show what you can do with it. Sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in again, for the air of unpredictability, you want to throw a little swerve, catch the people off guard. It works. But I feel like we're doing that now with everybody. So it's kind of like, as a viewer,
Yeah.
you have to be on your toes because you never know what's going to happen now. Things are different.
Yeah, I feel like I think it would have made a little more sense to just drag it out a little bit. Maybe not so much
Right.
to the point of like, oh, well, we're just telegraphing the fact that Becky's turning on her, but like maybe wait more than 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a
I
thought
would
maybe, but
even a week, even a week.
yeah, something. Like just not the night after because I was a little
Yeah.
too I'm still recovering from the whiplash that I received watching that, but
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. They didn't let it breathe.
not at all. They didn't even let you suck the whole breath in.
Yeah.
You were still like choking
Yeah.
on air at that point, but yeah, it was just confusing, but you know what? It is what it is. I still love Becky even though she's confuses me sometimes, but it just be like that sometimes. All right, so that was all of Mom's questions, so thank you, Mom. Let us
Thanks,
go
Mom.
into Mike's. He only had a couple because he's on vacation right now. You know, lucky him.
Yeah, he's out there in France doing French things.
Yeah, right. It must be nice. I have to go to work, so
Yeah.
well, that's my vacation. Is walking up the street to my job. That's my
I'm,
vacation.
and I'm sure he's gonna hear this. He's gonna crack up too when he hears that part.
Probably. Whatever. As long as he's having a good time, that's all that matters. I'm just slightly jealous. But his first question was he knows this was touched briefly on the Mania recap episode, but do we buy The Rock saying he didn't get involved in the main event because he wanted the focus to be Cody and Cena? Absolutely not. I don't buy that.
Absolutely not.
Because
That
here's
is
the
some
thing.
wrestler bullshit right there, 101.
Because here's the thing. If you really cared about Cena and Cody, you wouldn't have had Travis Scott parade his ass down there
Yeah.
10 minutes to get to the fucking ring when they were in the middle of a match. So don't tell me that you
Yeah.
just wanted to be on those two. No, you didn't. You just
No, you
didn't want it.
didn't.
You didn't want to screw up your payday in Hollywood because you're filming a movie and you didn't want to get
Right.
hurt. So it's just
Yep.
like maybe you should have thought of that before you did all this shit. But no,
And
not at all.
you know who brought that theory to light, and
Who?
they made it a very good point. Kevin Nash on his
Yeah,
podcast.
Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin Nash on his podcast was like, "That's a load of bullshit." He's got a movie
Mhm.
coming out, a Martin Scorsese movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a big deal. The last time The Rock went away and did this wrestling thing during when he was supposed to be working Hollywood was for Hercules. He got hurt in the WrestleMania match with Cena. They had to delay the production, and it cost the production $10 million.
Jesus.
Okay. So, and that was just the movie Hercules, which was shit in its own way. Now we're talking
Yeah.
about Martin Scorsese. I mean,
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, this is not something to mess around with. I get it, but again,
Think it through.
if his idea was we want to keep the focus on Cody and Cena, nothing at Elimination Chamber would have happened. Nothing
Yeah.
involving The Rock or Travis Scott would have happened if all the focus was on just John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Now, question is, could they have still pulled off the heel turn of John Cena without The Rock being there? I think they could
Um,
have. I think they could have,
yeah,
because it's not like John Cena sold his soul to The Rock.
yeah, because every time they would acknowledge it in a promo, like every time Cody would try to bring it up in a promo or somebody, Cena would never acknowledge it. So it's just like
Yeah.
it was right there. All he had to just be like was, yeah, I wanted that title and I was going to do whatever I wanted and I've done enough for this company, so I was in it for myself and I needed his help, not what we got, which is kind of
But the
funny that no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but the point is, he hasn't said any of that. He hasn't said
Yeah.
anything of association with The Rock. So I wonder if they would have done the thing where Cody, where or yeah, like John Cena won the Elimination Chamber. He's the number one contender. Cody comes out to do the customary, hey, John Cena's my friend. I consider this guy my hero. So I can
Mhm.
come out here and shake his hand and say, can't wait for the match. And when I do that, he kicks me in the balls. And then that starts the John Cena heel turn. The
Yeah.
Rock didn't even need to be there. Neither did Travis Scott, if you think about it.
Yeah, he could have stayed far away and we would have, probably been better off for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is funny that you mentioned that because this goes into Mike's next question, which is a little bit of a revisionist history. But if we could go back in time, do we
Mm.
not have Rock ask for Cody's soul and just have Cena turn heel during the Mania main event, face versus face, but then Cena kicks Cody in the nuts to win it? That would have been fucking wild. That would have probably been like the craziest like moment in WrestleMania history, probably, if they would have done that.
Probably. Yeah,
So
probably.
if we had to pick between what we got versus that, absolutely, I would have done that. That would have made
R-
way more sense, but
I
maybe
would
not at the
have,
time. But
right now, thinking about it and being what I just said, I would have just eliminated The Rock and Travis Scott out of the equation altogether and still
yeah,
had the heel turn happen at Elimination Chamber. It would have went off just as good. And
yeah,
there wouldn't have been this much confusion around it either.
yeah. I mean, I feel like just the common denominator of it didn't matter when Cena turned heel. If we should have just gotten The Rock and, like you said, Travis Scott out of the way, that would have made the most sense. It wouldn't have mattered anything else wouldn't have mattered after that. Just get those two out of there because neither of them had any business being in the storyline at all. Because
Yeah.
one's blatantly obvious shouldn't be there, and the other acts like they want to be there, but they're really not. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, your idea would have been great. Mike's idea would have been great. Anything than what we got would have been a lot better. And yet, this is why hindsight's 2020 because if only. That's why we need to
Mhm.
work on the time machine. We'll work on that. We'll hurry that up.
We're working on it.
All right, and then Mike's last question is: do we believe Brian Danielson's list of top 4 opponents he had chemistry with?
I don't know. A lot of that interview with Brian Danielson
Weird.
it was just like it feels like he didn't want to answer anything contrary to AEW because he didn't
Yeah.
want to hurt Tony Khan's feelings.
Yeah, because I love that part of it too, where it's like, oh well, who would you rather have as a boss? And just the way he started that question, it's like he's gonna say, well, I'm not saying it just because I work there, and it's just like, really, dude, like you would pick Tony Khan over Triple H? Give me a fucking break! Like, come on, like what
Yeah.
does he have against you? Like, I
I
mean, I
don't
get you're on
I
the payroll, but still, just like,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, the
come
thing is
on,
with the four that he picked a Swerve. Who
which is
else did he
fair.
pick? But yeah, this
Um,
the Swerve match I couldn't be mad at because I consider that my favorite match all time. You
Castagnoli,
know,
I think. Yeah,
Castagnoli, I kind of get because
let me pull it up.
they did have some bangers in WWE. There was one in particular where it was during I believe it might have been during the Yes movement. It was a gauntlet match where we the people were involved, and
Yeah.
when he was in there with Claudio Castagnoli, man, they ripped it up in there. I'm surprised he didn't put CM Punk in there.
Yeah, really.
He didn't put Nigel McGuinness. Nigel
Nothing.
McGuinness is probably, I would say, the rivalry for Brian Danielson, and Brian
Yeah.
Danielson's on my Mount Rushmore. So his battles with Nigel McGuinness were like legendary.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, what are we doing? Why can I not find this all of a sudden? You think this wouldn't be All right, let me try this.
Live production, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have producers that can just feed us information to a screen. We have to look it up ourselves. It's just again, I mean, this it's just
I think he said
weird. Like
Moxley. Moxley was one.
Moxley.
Okay,
That
here. All
was
right, here it is. Okay, so he said Moxley, Castagnoli, Hangman, and Swerve.
yeah. See, that's a
Funny how it's
weird
all
list.
AEW, which is a little too
Yeah, no,
convenient,
no,
but
no Punk on there, no
nope.
Samoa Joe,
No
no
Nigel.
Homicide, no Nigel.
It's like, what are we
What
doing here?
he
Like,
completely, aside from Castagnoli, completely negated anything he did in Ring of Honor.
yeah, which is owned by AEW, so it's like it's not like
Yeah,
you're stepping on anybody's toes. Like, what? Ah, it was just so weird. It was just such a weird everything.
yeah. I just feel like maybe he just didn't want to upset the boss.
I guess, but it's just like that's how sad that you just don't want to mess with him. That it, I just I don't know. It's just like he's not that powerful and that scary that you just can't answer. Well, no, it's not even that. It's just he is so emotionally fragile that you can't answer a question honestly that doesn't have the right answer as him without him having a fucking aneurysm about it behind the scenes. So
Yeah,
I see it, but it also makes you look like an idiot.
because to him, like this is still a competition, right?
Yeah,
And that is the one way to initiate a misstep in this entire journey of running a professional wrestling company. It's you can't go into it saying our objective is to overtake WWE and possibly take WWE out of business. It's
yeah,
just impossible for a startup company of 6 years old to do that to a pop culture institution that's been around for over 70 years. It just
yeah.
doesn't
Not
work.
happening.
Why do you think TNA is out here reaping the benefits of all these rewards? Because they're not out here going FWWE
Yeah,
down with WWE. We're trying to throw WWE out of here. They're just like, WWE, yeah, we're going to do our own thing. And now look, now they're working together. We got Trick Williams on the show. We
yeah.
got Joe Hendry on NXT. Joe Hendry's in WrestleMania with the TNA World Title. See, like, if like it's just use your brains. AEW can be the alternative to WWE without having to be the competition that wants to take them out.
Without
We
being the
can
little
all
brother.
right, we can all exist. We can all exist in this little world of wrestling. It's okay. There's enough space for all of us.
Yeah, it's really not that hard to believe, guys. Like
Yeah.
it's really not, but
It's just weird. It's just
and
weird little brother syndrome.
it always has been, and they just cannot seem to get away from it for whatever reason. Like I said, it is just weird.
Yeah.
Ugh, whatever. All right, so that was Mike's question. So, Mike, thank you, and again, hope you're having fun on vacation. Take
Shout
us with
out
you
to
next
Mike.
time,
Yes,
please.
seriously, I could definitely go for a vacation. Why haven't I been invited?
Yeah, really, we feel slighted now. It's whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so that is all of our questions off of Twitter. And I was told to remind you that we have some questions on Discord apparently.
Yes, we do. We have questions in Discord sent in by my good friend Bella. These
Nice.
questions were supposed to be answered during our WrestleMania episode, but since I'm not the one that usually does the questions, it completely slipped my mind and I
Ah,
screwed up. And I said, Bella, I promise
sorry.
you, we will answer your questions on the next episode. So here they are. They are questions about WrestleMania. And the reason that is because this was Bella's very first WrestleMania.
Oh
Uh,
no.
well,
No.
she loved it. She had a
Okay.
grand old time.
Hey,
She
as long
had
as
a
you had
grand
fun.
yeah, she had a grand old time. She loved it, and that made me happy because that means we are fostering a community of friends and who maybe not into wrestling but because they want to be around they get into it and they actually see the magic of it and they see why we get excited over it. And Bella's one of those people who just came in because she was just wanting to see what all the hoopla was all about, and now she's a full-fledged wrestling fan, watching all the shows on with me on Twitch and everything like that. So shout out to Bella. Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
nice, Bella. Hey, I'm glad you
Uh,
enjoyed WrestleMania because you know what? That's all that matters at the end of the day.
yeah. So here is her questions, starting off with, do you think that John Cena could have won the fight against Cody Rhodes without cheating?
No, I don't think so because I feel like it would have just. He's a bad guy, so you gotta do bad guy things
Yeah.
because then it just would have been like, oh, well, I mean, Cena was a dick, but I mean, he still won fair and square, so it's just like, it just wouldn't have been as impactful, I guess. It would have probably been more confusing if he did all the shit he did leading up to it and then just didn't, like, cheat at
Yeah.
all. So, no, I don't think he would have. I think they would have had to have had him cheat in some way, shape, or form.
Right. In wrestling, you kind of have to go all in. You can't just half-ass it. If you're gonna be a bad guy, be a bad guy. And I think
Yeah.
that's what John Cena realized, is that since he's a bad guy, he had to be that bad guy to do those sort of things. It's just, you also take into account during the match, John Cena hit Cody with 3 finishers plus
Yeah.
a finisher off the second rope, and that still didn't put Cody away.
Yeah.
So at that point, you look at it, and if you're John Cena, you go, well, I threw my best stuff at him, and I still didn't beat him without my best stuff. And so maybe all I have now is to cheat. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what he did. And
Last
he
resort.
Yep, it was basically his last resort. His back was against the wall, and he wasn't going to be made out to be a liar. All those things that he said leading up to WrestleMania. So I agree. I don't think he could have won the match against Cody without cheating for sure.
Yeah, it just would have made no sense and just I mean, granted, it wouldn't have made Cody look like a fool, but it's kind of just the give and take you have with the good versus the bad guys. Is that sometimes the good guys have to look a little silly, and boy, did they make Cody look really fucking stupid. But
All
oh
right,
well.
here's one that I can't wait for this rant. It's gonna be a full-fledged Shay rant coming up. What are your opinions on Travis Scott's appearances in WWE?
Well, the worst part is we kind of ranted about it on the recap episode, but I can reiterate a little bit. It's a total waste of time because it's like I get it, the whole mainstream, whatever. He's a big deal in the rap game, yeah, but it's also just like it has to make at least a little bit of sense. You can't just bring the guy out just because he's with The Rock and all of a sudden we're supposed to care. Like,
Mhm.
we don't care. We don't care. And then, as if it wasn't bad enough at Elimination Chamber, and then also rupturing Cody's eardrum, which is like not great, not a great start. And then you turn right around and you just make a fucking fool out of just wrestling in general on the main event at WrestleMania because you have to at least, yeah, you have to look cool, you have to look whatever, like your entrance has to be cool because you need all the attention and whatever, but there's still a match going on. If you have to be the distraction to help Cena win, get your fucking ass down to the ring. Don't take like 10 minutes to get down there. Like I said on the recap episode, I was literally sitting there with my parents and my friends, and this whole shit's going on, and I'm like, they do realize there's still a match going on, right? Because you would have, if you would have not even if you would have just cut his entrance up until when he got to the ring, you could have easily looked at that and been like, oh, that's just that happened after the match. Oh, that happened before the match. You would have never have
Right.
known that it was in the middle of the fucking main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
it just makes no sense. Like Rock costing Cody the thing would have it was the easiest slam dunk layup they could have had. Everybody expected that to happen. And no, we get Travis Scott instead. Like,
yeah.
who cares?
I said it. I said they really messed up when they had Travis Scott come out in the middle of the match rather than before the bell rang to start the match, because when the way they set it up with the referee taking the hit and going down, when that happens in wrestling, everybody's like, oh, something's about to happen
Yeah.
now, and something
Uh-huh.
did happen, and it was like a wet fart. It was
Yeah.
just Travis Scott coming down to the ring. So I said, it would be better to have Travis Scott come out before the bell rings, and then you could be like, oh well, he's just probably going to be on commentary, he's just probably going to be circling around the ring, and then have him get involved, because it wouldn't have been so awkward. Like you
Yeah.
said, it happened in the middle of the match, and he is just like taking his sweet old time, soaking in all the attention and everything. I'm telling you, I don't think there were people in that arena, in that stadium, that were going crazy because Travis Scott showed up.
No,
So
like literally, there was probably a lot of audible groans, just like, oh, fucking course he's here. Like, why else wouldn't it? Like, I don't
yeah,
know. It was a goddamn mess, is what it was.
and that and they're saying he got bit by the wrestling bug.
Yeah, well, great. Because
I'm
why the
just
fuck?
glad he didn't. I'm just glad he took the crossroads and it didn't look awkward.
Yeah,
Like
because he could have easily made it look like shit, and then it would have pissed me
yeah,
off even more.
they must have walked him through the crossroads.
Yeah, like, probably a couple times, to be honest. Let's
Yeah.
be real, but it's just like Jesus fucking Christ. Like,
Now, for
anyway.
Bella's next question, we sort of already answered this a little early in the show, but it's good to reiterate. She wanted to know, why do you guys think The Rock did not show himself at all since the selling soul incident?
Because besides the whole movie thing, he just wanted the attention. Like we said,
Mm,
he wanted the power grab because that's just clearly how he is now. But the fact that you just didn't think it through, clearly, or didn't care, let's be honest, didn't care to think it through because he got the attention, he got what he wanted. It didn't fucking matter if the story made sense or not. But
mm.
it
Now,
makes
let
my
me
head hurt.
ask you, the for this story to go off the way it did, you could have probably taken out the selling of the soul incident, and
Yeah.
it still would have been fine.
Yeah, well, and the thing is too, this goes all the way back to even WrestleMania 40. The afterwards gave him they swapped the titles. They gave him something in his hand and no one knew what it was. It's just like, what does this even fucking mean? Okay, so this has to mean it's going to be Cody and The Rock at some point. And then it never was. So it's just like
Yeah,
you
I
keep
feel like
doing
Rock does
all
he
he
does
leaves
that a
all
lot.
literally he leaves all these fucking breadcrumbs and I guarantee you he does it because then if he can do it and wants to do it then it's like, ah, see guys, I had the plan all along. Like I had these fucking Easter eggs from last year and see, I told you I was smart. And then if he doesn't do it, it's just like it just leaves fans confused and he tries to come up with some bullshit excuse for it. And there is no good excuse for it because he's just banking on the fact that, oh, well, it might be able to work out. It should be fine. Well, guess what? It didn't. It didn't.
Yeah.
I just, ugh.
I think our boy Dwayne the Rock Johnson is a little bit of a narcissist.
Oh, just a little bit.
Just a
Just a little bit.
little bit of a narcissist, because uh he does these things because he can, because he is a board member on the TKO board, which are shareholders to the WWE. Basically, they own the WWE, so he's part of the decision makers for the WWE. So I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of times he could be like, well, we're gonna do this, and if it doesn't work, oh well, it's just the work, it's just the work, no need
Yeah,
to
don't
get
worry about
riled,
it.
don't worry about it, guys, it's just a work, no need to get all up in arms about it. And if it works out well, it's like, see, I'm a genius. And Matt, I mean, honestly, the evidence is right there. If you look at that WrestleMania documentary they did last year for
Yeah.
WrestleMania, where they were talking about the pivot, where they wanted to initially have Roman Reigns versus The Rock, but people were like, no, 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 we want Cody. Cody earned that right. Rock all of a sudden wants to take credit for that pivot, saying, "Oh,
Oh, yeah.
we listened to the fans. We
Yeah.
listened to the fans," and I don't think that's true.
I don't think it is either. You just realize, like, oh, we need to actually do something about this, or else it's going to be a really big problem. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I think a lot of it, Bella, is The Rock himself is just a bit of a narcissist. He feels like he can shoehorn himself into storylines, have his own ideas, and if his ideas work out well, great. He's a genius. He's looked at as a genius. If his ideas don't work out well, like they did at WrestleMania, or this whole lead up to Cody selling his soul, kind
Yeah.
of confusing. It's just wrestling. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, it just is
He
what it is,
yeah
guys. Don't worry about it.
yeah, he doesn't want to take any of the blame for any of the negative reception.
Nope, not at all. It's just it's just I
we've
just
up, we've upset Shay.
I just can't anymore. It's so dumb. It's just like the worst thing you can do to a wrestling fan is insult their intelligence, and I feel like we have really had our intelligence insulted by him alone.
Yeah, yeah. Now for Bella's last question, she wants to know, how does this past WrestleMania compare to all previous ones you have seen? Out of top five best, is this now a top five for you guys? Top five?
Absolutely not.
No, I wouldn't say.
Absolutely not.
I've
Like,
seen. I've been around for the majority of the WrestleManias. Uh, this one was fun, but it didn't hit like last year.
I was gonna
Last
say,
year,
like, nothing's ever gonna top WrestleMania 40 for me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm fully
eh,
biased. I don't give a shit. When you're there, it's a completely different story. So,
yeah, last year. I mean,
yeah.
even last year, I wasn't there, and last year I'd have been like, last year I was like that was a pretty good WrestleMania.
Probably one. I mean, honestly, I feel like WrestleMania 40 is probably in the top 5 WrestleManias of
Yeah,
all time,
yeah.
probably. Just
For this past WrestleMania, it wasn't bad.
it was a letdown.
It felt like another premium event. It didn't feel like the WrestleMania in terms of match quality. There were a
Yeah.
couple good matches on there. There were a lot of good matches on there, but overall the match quality didn't live up to the WrestleMania standard that we've come accustomed to.
Nope.
Um a lot of it is like what Baron Corbin was saying on Busted Open. He's like, a lot of times Triple H is very good at working on the fly and changing things around and making decisions on the fly, but it's almost that he almost has to do it to please the TKO board, to
Yeah.
please The Rock and all those stuff. So I would assume a lot of the things would have been different if this was solely in Triple H's care and not so
Yeah.
much everybody else's.
Yeah, and I think that's just the problem of too many cooks in the kitchen at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, which is, and now nobody can look at us and say, "Oh, we're completely biased and all we do is shit on AEW." No,
No.
we
We
say
shit on
the same.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, we say the same thing about WWE too. Again, WrestleMania for me, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
It
I
was
just thought,
just
yeah,
it was a let I just think it was a letdown. That's the easiest way to put it for me. It was a letdown.
yeah, I just think a lot of factors went into this WrestleMania that kind of threw things askew. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting if see if they could rebound, because we have SummerSlam coming in August, and SummerSlam is a 2-night event,
I
and
mean, if you want to pay
SummerSlam is
$40,000 to get in, you can go.
no, I'm not gonna do. I'll
Forty
stay.
thousand a seat. Like, what the fuck is that? That's a whole other rant for another day. We don't have that kind of time, but that's some
Yeah,
bullshit.
we're getting priced out.
What else is new?
We're
It's
getting we're getting priced out. Yeah,
forty
but
thousand.
I don't think no.
That
I
can't be right
mean,
because that's even more than WrestleMania. Like WrestleMania is
yeah,
just 10,000 a seat front row, but I
ten
don't know.
thousand to
It's New
see front
York
row WrestleMania.
2 night, so it was like 5,000. Either way, I mean,
That's
it
still a lot of money.
still New York.
Yeah.
Like New York might, I don't know. I don't know if you kind of compare Vegas to New York. They're both expensive, so it doesn't matter. It's gonna hurt anyway. So I'm just like, I'm not even bothering to look. Like, there's no point. There's no fucking
It's
point.
gonna be in MetLife, and Cardi B is gonna be there.
Yeah, why not? Right? Maybe she can do a better job than Travis Scott.
Yeah, maybe. I think I would find Cardi B in a wrestling ring more entertaining than Travis Scott.
Yeah, because at least maybe she could actually do something. That would be great.
Yeah, yeah, and she would make it entertaining.
Oh
But
yeah.
there are all of Bella's questions. Thank you, Bella, for sending in those wonderful questions.
Yeah, thank you, Bella.
Thank you for joining me for WrestleMania. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you had fun with the show.
Hey, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, just have fun.
That's it.
All right, so I think we did it. We did all the
We
things.
we did all of the questions and we beat out the storm, did we?
I think so. I'm
We beat
having
out
people are blowing up my phone right now. They're like, "Does downtown still have power?" I'm like, "For now, let's hope it stays that way." So,
you're
we'll
the
see.
you're the downtown liaison.
I guess, yeah. I'm live on the scene, I guess. I'm like, well, my lights are still on in my bedroom, so clearly that's a good sign. So,
We did it, guys. We made it through the storm. We had to actually rush through because we wanted to make sure to put this episode out before Shay lost power. So
hopefully I
thank
don't, but we'll see.
yeah. We don't want you to lose power, especially since it's getting warm. So I would assume like losing power means losing fans and AC and anything like that. Nah, that doesn't sound fun
Mm-mm.
at all.
No, and I overheat. I don't do well with heat, so I'd rather not try that, test that theory out.
For sure, for sure. But thank you again for everyone that sent in questions. And you yourself could send in questions. The way you could do it is every Monday before we record an episode on Tuesday evening, every Monday I post up a tweet on Twitter, x.com/ringside rundown. You go there, it's usually the pinned tweet asking you guys to send in any wrestling related questions, and anything you send in, whether it's one question or 5 questions, it doesn't matter. We will answer them on the show. So if you're a listener for the first time and you say, "Hey, I want to get in on this fun and answer some and ask some questions and get your opinions on wrestling," go right ahead. You can do so by hitting up that Twitter, it's x.com. I hate calling it X. I think that's
It's
stupid.
Twitter.
But
It's
yeah, but
Twitter.
it's Twitter. But go to Twitter at Ringside Rundown, find that questions tweet, drop your questions in the replies. Also, if you're a member of our Discord community, you can hit us up on Discord. There's a specific channel for podcast questions where you can drop your podcast questions, or you can just hit us up anywhere else on social media. Like I said, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're everywhere. We're all
Everywhere.
over the board. At Ringside Rundown. If you want to find this episode on a specific podcast platform, just hit the search bar, type in Ringside Rundown, and hit that follow or subscribe button, whatever they ask you to do, and you will never miss an episode of the Ringside Rundown. It is available on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Audible, and Amazon Music. Basically, wherever you listen to podcasts, you should be able to find the Ringside Rundown. And like I said, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Ringside Rundown. Check out episodes. If you don't have a platform, you can check out episodes on YouTube, youtube.com/at Ringside Run Pod. Now, here's the fun part. Every episode of Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, and WWE PLEs, I am live on Twitch and YouTube. Now I'm even starting to go live on TikTok. So I
Yeah,
am
damn.
live all of the I'm going crazy here, Shay.
Hey,
I'm
popping
going
off.
crazy. Yeah, I'm going crazy. So if you want to follow us on TikTok, the handle is at ringside_rundown. Like I said, we're on Twitch, twitch.tv/ringside rundown, and on YouTube, youtube.com/at ringside run pod. For all of those shows, you can hang out with me in the chat and we can talk wrestling while we're watching Raw, while we're watching SmackDown, Dynamite, or Collision, whatever have you. If it's on TV and I'm watching it, you can come hang out with me. I would enjoy your company. So please come. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at Shailene Hickson21. It's PWHL playoffs coming up soon, so that's probably going to be what I'll be talking about for hopefully for the next month or so. I'm
Oh
gonna cross our
yeah,
fingers. My
I've seen
teams
the
are
tweets
in.
already. I've seen the
I'm
tweets already.
I'm popping off my tweets. My teams are in. My one team literally just won like 5 minutes ago, so I'm happy. I hope they can. My best case scenario is they both end up in the finals because then regardless of who wins, I'm happy. So fingers crossed, but we'll see what happens.
There you go. There you go. Once again, I forgot to mention that if you can't find the podcast
Oh yes.
on your platform of choice, don't worry. You hit us up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Ringside Rundown. We will get you an episode on a silver platter. But the caveat is you have to give us back that silver platter because it belongs to Shay's mom. And the whole reason this 100-man versus one gorilla debate has started is because somebody caught a grainy video of Shay's mom karate chopping a gorilla. So now people are thinking humans can take on gorillas.
Yeah, see, they just should have left it alone, but no, they just had to
Your
start
mom is
shit.
dangerous.
I know.
She is
Unfortunately, I know.
dangerous. She is dangerous, especially if your name is Damian Priest.
Yep. Yeah.
I feel like Damian Priest can feel like a tickle on his neck, like Spidey sense or
Yeah,
something.
the spider sense, yeah.
Yeah, if your mom's around.
Yeah, well, he better just watch his back. That's all I'll say.
Watch it, Damien. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode. We'll be back next week. I believe it's our predictions episode for Backlash. Already Backlash is
Uh,
here.
yeah, it's Jesus. Like we blinked and it was WrestleMania. Now we're back. Now we're still going.
Yep, we got Backlash predictions for all of the matches that are going to be on Backlash. Should be a good show. And we'll also be taking some of your questions. So if you want to send in questions, do so. But that is it for now. For Shay Hickson, my name is Eric Vasquez. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ringside Rundown. And we will check you out on the next one, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys.